Hello and welcome to another edition of Motor Cars Enthusiasts. Right off the bat on the old show today, McLaren is in the news. There's been a long rumored entry-level model in the McLaren lineup, basically called the P13, or at least that's what a lot of people are calling it. This is a vehicle that's going to put their square in their crosshairs. They want to go right after Porsche 911, which is not a bad mark to actually hit. It will be an entry-level model underneath this particular vehicle and the MP4-12C, this being the 650S. Now McLaren has let out in the year of 2016, we are going to see a model that's going to be just a touch above the 650S and just a touch below the P1. So this is very, very exciting news. Cannot wait to see what old McLaren may have up their sleeve on this particular model, or who exactly they're going to be trying to go after with this particular car. So very exciting news. McLaren's got a very ambitious plan on their hands for their road-going automobiles heading into the future. So we'll keep you in tune when we hear anything more about this particular model. Next up on the list, well, it's finally here and it's official. Quite possibly could have shown off at the Detroit Motor Show, but apparently there was a tad bit of problem over the name that is on the back half of this particular model. This is finally official, the 2015 Dodge Challenger SRT Hellcat. Now, this thing has been long rumored, but now it's officially here. Not a bad looking piece to boot. Now let's start talking a little bit about this automobile, as they have left almost no stone unturned. Brand new McPherson struts all the way around the lower ride height on this vehicle to really help in this vehicle, especially in this four-wheel independent suspension on this model. Now, this particular vehicle gets the largest brake rotors that are on any SRT model at 15.4 inches all the way around on this particular model. It also gets Brembo 6-piston calipers all the way around on this model, as the Challenger is quite a heavy gal, so it's going to need a lot to haul this baby down. Now, this particular vehicle also gets a lot of trick stuff. It's got an electric pass-through on the exhaust, which is pretty doggone slick when it goes full throttle. Basically, you have a set of straight pipes on it. So this thing is going to make a massive amount of noise. They really redesigned the rear end on this particular model with a very fancy setup torque vectoring system that's supposedly going to be on this model as well. Now, let's talk about something a little bit more on this vehicle, especially being the transmission in this vehicle. The transmission is not only going to get the upgraded Tremec 6-speed from the SRT Viper, it's also going to get a brand new 8-speed TorqueFlite transmission. That's an automatic, and it will have paddle shift option on this particular machine as well, and is supposedly a very stout piece of kit that's been developed. Now, obviously, from this picture, you're going to see something that's very bespoke for this particular model. Red-backed gauges, which has never been offered on any other SRT, nor will it ever be offered on any other SRT other than the Hellcat. Now let's get to the part, well, getting closer to the part that you've all been waiting for. Yes, it's what's underneath the hood. Now, this particular vehicle does get the 6.2 liter, normally known as the 392 Hemi. This vehicle will have an IHI supercharger on top of this lump. Now, this particular supercharger kit is the same supercharger company that does all the supplying for the blown vehicles that come from Mercedes-Benz. So this is a pretty doggone good unit. Now, this particular unit, another interesting thing about this particular automobile, the 4 headlights up front, well, the one that's the furthest, or I guess the center one to the left, is actually a pass-through. A little tip of the hat to the old days, as that is actually the Ram Air unit for the machine. So that headlight that you can see down in the corner, the one that looks kind of like the marker light, no, that's a Ram Air unit. And you've seen that a lot in a lot of high-performance automobiles from back in the day. Massive intercooler in this machine. Now let's get down to the actual nitty-gritty. Now what this vehicle really is all about as far as this horsepower is concerned. As Dodge is yet to say what exactly it's going to be, but it's going to be north of 600 brake horsepower. We're also hearing this thing is going to make 570 pounds-feet of torque. Now, there's been a lot of rumors that this thing was going to be closer to 650 to 675. Lately, the rumor's really been floating about that it's not going to go over the SRT Viper, which is at 640 brake horsepower. So, it'll be interesting to see what actually comes of this. We got no fuel economy numbers, nothing like that. Really like you're ever going to be concerned exactly with fuel economy numbers with this machine. No pricing numbers as well. One of the most interesting little tidbits I've heard from the folks over at Autoline.tv was the coefficient of drag on this particular automobile. Another thing I don't think anybody's really concerned about, but the number is 0.383. 383, like the old days with the old 383 V8 that was in this particular model. Now, something that's really going to be interesting, supposedly there's going to be a pair of keys for this model. A black key, which is for normal, everyday driving, with the car's a tad bit subdued, a little bit detuned for everyday driving, and a red key, which turns it up to 11, and you get the full power, the full everything out of this automobile. Supposedly there's also, if you kind of forget about this, there's a valet mode where you can actually punch in a 4-digit code, which will then not allow the valet to get the full power and full load from this particular automobile as well. So, very exciting stuff from the folks over at SRT. The well-rumored Hellcat is officially official. And last up on the list, Fisker is in the news. Well, at least the billionaire owner, Chinese owner of the Fisker automobile manufacturer that was actually bought up out of bankruptcy. Now, this particular owner actually owns the world's, or I should say China's, largest manufacturing of parts, and it's Wang Jing. Now, Wang Jing, he's actually come out and said this, which was some huge words coming from a owner of this. He says, I will put every penny or every cent that Wang Jing earns into making electric vehicles. Not only did he say that, this is an exact quote too, which gets a little bit more on the serious side. I will burn as much cash as it takes to succeed, or until Wang Jing goes bust. That's some huge words out of a fella who has apparently got the cash to do this, but he is going all in. It's going to be very, very interesting to see the revival of Fisker. Whether it's going to be called Fisker or whether it's going to be called the Karma anymore, chances are he'll stick with the name because it's already got a little bit of cachet with it. But this is very, very interesting. This guy is totally serious about this particular make. Cannot wait to see what comes down the pike in this one. And that's all there was that I thought was worth talking about for this edition of Motor Cars Enthusiasts. If you want to jump on over to the Facebook page, links down in the show notes. Also, if you want to subscribe to the channel, you can do so at any time and get the first dibs on the brand new shows as soon as they come out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again real soon.